Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and I'm here to keep you on that journey that I'm on to organize my scrap room. Now, the thing that I want to organize right now are my enamel dots. Right now I have 3 spots that I keep them. I keep some in this iris container, which is like a photo one, a 4x6, and usually that's what I take like when I go to crops and stuff. But if you've been following me for a while, you know that when I go to crops, I make page kits. And then when I make page kits, I actually end up cutting a strip of these enamel dots and I put them inside my page kit. So really, I can still bring a little bit, but I'd rather have them organized all the time. I'm having a hard time finding enamel dots when I need them. So I have this little container that was a recollections, and it sits to the left of my desk, and that's where I keep those. But they're kind of all over the place. So I'm going to keep them, I'm going to take them out of there, and we're going to get them organized. I made these little tabbed things here that I'm going to separate them by color. And I'm going to make a couple here so that you can see how this tab punch from We Are Memory Keepers works. Now, I cut my paper down to 6 inches. So 6 inches this way to 3.5 this way. And then I'm going to make some tabbed labels or cards. Now, there's a little thing here that's kind of little 2-peg thing, and here it says side tab, so you put that where that belongs on the side tab, just like that. So I'm going to make how many do I have left to make? 6. So I'll make 3 side tabs, and the left and the right side, basically all you do is flip them over. So it's the same procedure for both. You just flip them over. And then the center one is a little different. So you put your side tab there, you punch, then you remove this to finish it. I'm going to do it the one time. And then it's small, medium, and large. I did medium. So then I just go to the medium part here, match that up. There's a little spot here where it kind of has the tabbed drawn out. So you match that up, you punch it, and then you go to this part, you put your tab in there, and then there's a little cutter here, and you put it in the groove, and then you just cut this part off. So that's how easy it is to make those little tabbed little cards. Now the center one, what you do is right here, it has 4, 5, 6, 7, and what that is inches, and that's how wide your paper is. So I cut mine at 6 inches, and then in here at 6 it has small, medium, and large. So then you just line it up with the medium and you punch, then you flip it over, you put it with at the 6-inch medium again, and it lines up perfectly on this side because it's made perfectly. And then you come in here and then you just cut off your excess that you don't need. And then you have your center punch. I didn't do a very good job here. So it's easy. It's going to fit in the exact same spot. So it's not as if I wrecked it by not cutting it the first time. So that's how you make the little labels here to put in there. Now, what I do is, if I know I'm going to make more than one side punch, is I'm going to make 2 more. So I'm going to do this, and then I just punch this side first, and then I take that little tab away, and they say to put it back right away so you don't lose it. And then I do this part, and then you can kind of make, make them really fast because you're making them in batches. And then you come in here, you put your little cutter in there, and then you cut all at once too. And then I do the same thing with the center one. I'll put it at 6 inches, medium, flip it over, 6 inches, medium. And instead of going to cut right away, I'll just do this part. And I like making stuff in batches like this because then it goes so much faster than having to change your tools all the time. That way, you just get it done. And you can organize so many things with this because, you know, you just change the size of your paper and then you can make it much bigger, and then you can organize your whole scrap room. So I'm done with this part. I just make sure that my tools are back where they need to be because I don't want to lose that. And then I'm gonna put that away. Now, when I was looking at these and I thought maybe I could use some tiny, I'll give you some different options because then you guys can choose a different options than I did. You could use some tiny stickers and write the name of the color. I tried with watercolors and then some markers, and I didn't like the look of that. And then I tried with a stamp, and the stamp wasn't big enough. So I was like, you know what? How about if I just take the distress ink and just go directly on the paper? It doesn't need to be perfect as long as, you know, I got the color on there. So now I'm just going to I took all the distress inks, all the colors that I needed, and I'm just going to color a little spot on each of the cards. Sort of the top of the tab, because that's what's going to be sticking out. At first I thought I would take like a ruler and make a little line, but it's like, you know what, as long as it's somewhat good, you know, like that's good. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not something that should take me hours and hours to get this ready. So what I did was, you know, that one that I just showed you, that was sort of like my tester. And then I just took my pen and I just wrote all the colors that I wanted. And then I went through all my distress inks and just found some distress inks that I liked, because there's so many shades of greens, so many shades of blues. And I just made sure that I got the shades that I liked. Now I have to make sure that when I do this, that I don't do it all on the right tab or all on the left tab, because the center one is pretty easy. I mean, there's only one way to do it. So like I said, I'm not too concerned. I'm not going to take too much time for this. I'm just going to color it in. Now, I have some that are shapes. So what I did was, I think I figured out I needed 12 of those tabs or 11 of those tabs, something like that. So I made sure that I have enough cut out. And then one of them, I'll probably, depending, you know, if I might cut up those shapes and put them with the color that they belong to, or I might just put them in shapes. I haven't decided yet. So I just made sure to cut enough tabs in case I want to make shapes. So I might have actually one tab extra here, and that's okay. But what I found was every time I was working on a page or making page kits, and then I would be looking for a color of enamel dots, it's really bugging me that it's taking me that long to find the color that I need. So I decided, you know what? You need to organize those, and you cut them up anyway into strips. Now I'm going to try it in this container. I'm telling you what would have been my perfect solution was to find some little containers, like maybe this big by this big. And I know I can get them at the dollar store, but then I would need an entire drawer just for my enamel dots. But if you got the space, definitely, you know, you could do that. And then I would just put the enamel dots in each of the little drawers. And I'm like, ooh, that would be fun. But I'm going to try this first, because then it'll be contained in one drawer. And it'll just be divided between the tabs. Now, I wasn't very good at making sure that I move this stuff away. I think I did them all, though. I might have done 12 instead of, because I got orange, I got purple, I got green, I got pink, I got red, black, brown, gray, blue, and yellow. So beautiful. We'll just move those to the side. And like I said, you could put little stickers. I just figured this way, the colors will grab my attention. The next thing I'm going to do is I'll probably put you on fast forward, and then I'll show you a bit of how I'm going to do this, and I'll do a voiceover. But basically, I'm just going to make sure that, because I have a lot of them that have one enamel dot, so I'm going to clean all that up. It's, you know, a mess. I'm going to divide them by color. I'm going to take all these out. I'm going to cut them into strips, and then I'll stick them in their rightful dividers. But I love that tab maker. One of the next things I need to organize are my stamp sets too. That's on my list to do, my stamp sets. And I want to label them, you know, like what company or... So I'm going to be using my label maker to make sure that I get that done. Now, the only thing, I'm not worried about the order. I just don't want two right tabs together and or two left sides tabs together. So I'm just going to make sure that they're all separated, and they were. The only one that wasn't was this one. Okay, so this one needs to be a left side tab, unless I go at the beginning and put that there. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay. So the next thing I got to do is, am I going to go from this way to this way? And I think so. So brown, the brown will go here. Okay, so that's all ready. They seem to be a little snug, so I might have to just cut just a little sliver, but then that might be okay, because then maybe I'll just wait before making that decision, because it might work out for me better. Okay, so even like this, where, you know, they're both gray or silver, but I'm going to put them with the gray. I could leave them together, but I'm going to separate them because I'm going to have them ready for when I make page kits. I'm not going to keep any of the backings. I'm just going to get rid of all of that, because it doesn't really matter to me which company made them. I'm just concerned with the color. So I think, is that like a brown or a gray? I think it's more like a brown. Okay, so I'll do that. So now I'm going to put you on fast forward. I'll just show you a little bit of me separating those, And then at the end, I'll show you what it looks like all finished. Okay, so basically I'm just going through all my enamel dots. I'm separating them. I'm making it so that I'm making a row of them. Now, if you see some of them, if there was only a little bit left, I kind of squished them together so it's not as big of a line of them. And what I do is instead of lifting them, I just kind of slide them along the plastic. And I try to move the ones that I have least amount to move. So let's say if there's 4 at the bottom and 2 at the top, I kind of move the ones that are at the top and move them towards the bottom. And then it's a smaller piece of plastic. Now, when I started this, I didn't realize how much strips of enamel dots I was going to get. And the more that I started, the more I cut them apart, the more I realized like, oof, that's going to be a lot. And just by having the tabbed little folder thing, it's the enamel dots are going to get sort of lost at the bottom of that little container. And that's where having multiple little containers that I could have put in there would have came in handy. But again, I didn't want to use an entire Recollections bigger drawer just for my enamel dots, because I knew I could get them to fit in that little drawer. That's also a Recollections drawer, but it's the one that has 2 small drawers and then 2 shelves. And I knew I could get them all to fit in there. But again, you'll see, I kept most of the entire video so that you could see, one, how long it took me. The only thing is that I made the speed so it's 8 times fast, so that it's quite a bit faster. And 2, just the amount that I'm going to end up with. So the entire time that I was doing this, I'm like, okay, that's not going to work, just having those tab to separate, because when I go to grab these enamel dots, they're going to be hard to get out, and I don't want that. So I was trying to think of different ways that I could separate them. Now, I could have taken each little strip and taken a piece of cardstock or something and glued them back on, but I was trying to get away from that. I didn't want that. Then I thought, well, maybe I could make some kind of other folder and stick them in there and stick my enamel dots in there. And I thought, well, when I pull the folder out, they're going to fall off out of the sides and all this stuff. So that's when I remembered my Avery Elle little page protectors or envelopes that I separate my stamps with. And I knew that they would be too long, but I thought, you know what? I could cut them down so that they fit inside that drawer. And then I could put each of those enamel dots by color still in each of those little Avery Elle pockets or page protectors, and then separate them still with my tabs that I put together. Now, I have to tell you how long this took me. To go through all my enamel dots, it took me 1 hour and 40 minutes to separate them all like this. Now, the only ones that I didn't cut apart yet, and I put them back into my 4x6 little photo iris container, was my shapes. Because at the beginning, if you remember, I said, oh, I might put my shapes, I don't know if I want to put them by color or if I want to put them by shapes. And I still haven't decided. And at the point where it took me 1 hour and 40 minutes to just do the colors, I was like, you know what, that's enough for today. And plus the 15 minutes at the beginning where I talked you through my thought process. So it was literally 2 hours. But I am super happy with the end results. And now when I scrap, I can actually take out that little container, set it on my desk, especially, and if you know how I scrap, if you're new to my channel, what I like to do is scrap with page kits. And you can go back on my channel and see lots of playlists where I talk about making page kits. And when I make my page kits, I choose my enamel dots and I cut them down into strips. So I feel like my enamel dots are ready for page kits already. And I found that the last few times that I was making page kits, I was going through my enamel dots and I was having a hard time finding the colors that I wanted. Because another thing that I've been doing is I am trying to use what I have. And what I mean by that is I am not, once a month buying new supplies. And that includes enamel dots, which, as you can tell, I do have a lot of enamel dots. But for some reason, I have way more of certain colors more than others. I don't have a lot of black. I don't have a lot of white. I don't have a lot of red. I have tons of blues, tons of greens. I don't have a lot of yellows, and I have a lot of pinks. So another thing that this did, it kind of made me see where I'm sort of lacking in my enamel dots. So if I ever find some packages that, contain mostly browns or grays or blacks or yellows, maybe I can get those packages instead of getting more blues and greens and pinks, because I have a ton of those. So then I can kind of focus sort of like the little bit that I do purchase per year for the colors that I really need. And that's what I really like about this process of going through my scrap room, sort of like one little space at a time. And it's going to take me a while. I don't expect that I'm going to finish this process this year, but one little drawer at a time, I'm going to make sure that I'm totally organized. And if you've been following this sort of series, I think it was the second one, but it was organize my die cuts, and I organized them by color. And that's what made me think of organizing my enamel dots by color. I'm like, why don't I just organize them also by color, because that's how I scrap. But another thing that it did when I was, putting those together, I'm going to go to Michael's and I'm going to buy another one of those containers with all those little 4x6 organizers, because I want to start organizing other stuff that way. I want to have a little container for my labels, a little container maybe for my tags, and maybe my viewfinders. And, the thing is, by doing this, it's making me think of other ways that I can maybe divide my supplies and have them a little bit more ready for me when I'm doing my page kits. And my little word, that's from Ali Edwards. She says to choose one little word and to kind of focus on that all year. And I decided that my little word is going to be order. And that's because I want to find some order in my life. I want to organize not only my scrap room, but other aspects of my life too. I want to find some order and not just find that, life is chaotic. I just, I'm part-time now. It should be the kind of not easy, but maybe a little bit more relaxing part of my life. And it's the complete opposite. It just feels like we're always going. I'm always last minute doing everything, and I want to have some order. So this is where I thought, you know what, I'm going to try one of them. And I put the brown in there, and I'm like, oh, I totally don't like that at all. And like I said, while I was cutting those apart, I was thinking of different ways that maybe I could organize, find a spot or a way to put my enamel dots in there. And that's where I came up with those little Avery L little pockets. And like I said, I usually use those to store my stamps. So I had a ton of them, and I only needed to use, 12 for all the 12 different colors. And I just made sure to cut cut them down to size so that they fit inside that little drawer and that I'm able to get it in and out of the recollections container without it, hitching on anything. So once everything was cut apart, it didn't take me too long to get them separated, and it was just the right amount. I'm going to show you at the end how everything fits in the container, and I really like how I'm able to now, when I get a new set in, when I get some new enamel dots in, I'm going to right away rip them out of the package and take out my container, cut them into strips, and put them in there. And then from now on, it'll be so much easier to keep organizing my enamel dots because I've done this part. Yes, it took me 2 hours, but now it's done forever, because as soon as I get another set at this point, I'm going to do that right away. So I didn't have a little tab for white and gold. So what I ended up doing, there's no really, the paper's already white. So I just wrote out white on it. And then I only had a few sets of gold, and I just put white and gold together. And that'll be easy to remember that I put those two together. And yeah, once everything was cut apart, it went quickly to put them in those little envelopes, and then I just put them in my drawer. And here is the drawer. I'm going to finish putting the rest of them in there. It's some of them, the envelope is, or the little page protector is a little thicker, but everything still fit in it. Right now I'm looking for the black and the pink. I must have taken them out without realizing, and I couldn't find them, but they were right there beside my desk. And this is going to work really well for me. And I think I'm going to really enjoy having my enamel dots separated like that. So that's it. That's going to complete this video. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.